Joining us now on the line is Ann Coulter. She joins us every week, every Monday at this time, and she's the author of the New York Times bestseller, In Trump We Trust. Ann, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Absolutely. This is fun.
Hey, listen, after the stock market's been on a tear for the last 16 months or so, and the liberals just gave it a good leaving alone, but now it's down 7% over the last couple of days, and guess what? It has a new name, the Trump slump. It's all over Twitter, the Trump slump.
Well, a couple of points on that. This couldn't happen fast enough as far as I'm concerned. I think a lot of people have thought that, we had the bubble in real estate. I think it has been a bubble in the stock market. The stock market isn't the economy. The stock market is how, the CEOs, and I'm not saying that, everybody is invested in stock. I'm not saying that it's only CEOs and the rich who benefit from this. But when companies have to pay their workers more, the bottom line isn't so good. So, I think a lot of people, including left-wing economists, have been saying this is because wages are rising. Why are wages rising? Because Trump, the Trump effect has reduced the employment of illegal aliens. As soon as interest rates go up, it's crazy that this is not good for most people in the economy, although it's nice that when your stock portfolio goes up, wages going up are more important. Having a little bit of inflation, the really frightening thing isn't inflation, it's deflation. Look at what happens with deflation. That'll keep you up at night. Hasn't happened for a while. You want a little bit of inflation. That makes your house worth more, for example. So this has been a long time coming, and the final point I'll make about this is I have thought it was a little foolhardy for the president to keep bragging about the stock market. Some of it is obviously due to his policies, not the tax cuts, but the stripping away of all of these useless regulations. These poor companies trying to do business. You read about what they have to go through, and that is a big, big thing for Trump, stripping away pointless regulations and all these forms you have to fill out. Obviously, that is going to help business, and that will put, I think, a floor on how much the stock market can go down. The economy is going to do well, but the stock market is overinflated, and the sooner it gets down to human prices, the better.
Hey, and yesterday was Super Bowl Sunday, and so an illegal alien in Indianapolis celebrated by killing an NFL linebacker and his Uber driver as well. How ironic is this? On Super Bowl Sunday,
I know.
A drunk illegal alien kills a member of the Indianapolis Colts.
Well, that's a big problem. Not only has John Lott now run the numbers, at least for one state, I don't know why the Trump administration, apart from why he hired Rosenstein, we'll put a pin in that, and hired so many members of the swamp to come work for him. He runs against the swamp, and then he just moves the chess pieces around. Why hasn't he hired John Lott yet, America's premier economist, who basically ended the gun debate just by running the numbers? How about getting John Lott to run the numbers on what I've been begging for since writing Adios America? Can the government please tell us how many immigrants, legal and illegal, are in prison and what they're in prison for? Well, he has done it on his own, somehow, got the funding for it. Lott has run the numbers in Arizona, and it's astronomical, needless to say. He looked only at illegal immigrants and their crime committing rate for people of the same age. There are crime committing ages in the American population is twice as high as the native born. But beyond that, the immigrants also commit different kinds of crime. You have all of these, the Nigerians with the credit card theft, and the Russians and Albanians with the human smuggling, and the specialty of the Latin Americans. Pardon?
The Russians and the Albanians are into gasoline in New York. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, all the Medicare fraud, the Medicaid fraud, the government, they see America as a Disneyland with all of these government programs. This is supposed to be helping our fellow Americans, not allowing foreign criminals to come in and rip off our system. But now leading up to the case you talked about, the drunk driving is a big problem with illegal and legal, but mostly illegal immigrants from Latin America. It's a big problem. You will see them disproportionately represented, well, of course, in heroin dealing, in fentanyl dealing, and drunk driving.
And I've told you about the case here in Massachusetts, the drunk Ecuadorian who ran over an American motorcyclist, and they hired a court psychologist, and the court psychologist said in his statement to the judge that the Ecuadorian was a Mongoloid, as he called him, an Indian, basically, and he said he lacked the enzyme to metabolize alcohol. I wonder if this Guatemalan in Indianapolis is going to use the same excuse for killing the Uber driver and the linebacker for the Colts. He lacked the enzyme.
Well, it's not an excuse. It's true. I mean, everyone knows about Native American Indians. You are talking about the same genetic reaction to alcohol. It's a big problem, in addition to the fact that you have illegals driving without licenses, without registration.
Like this guy. This guy, no
it's
license.
Always that way.
Yeah, and how about also this week, previously deported Mexican national convicted of raping 9-year-old girl in Sanctuary City. This is Clackamas County, Oregon. 9 years old.
As described in chapter after chapter of Adios America, the child rape predilection is also quite predominant among illegal aliens from Latin America. No, the different groups have different kinds of crimes and different predilections. Obviously, not all of them are, commit these crimes, but that's the nice thing about having a country where you're a family and you have similar predilections and similar crime committing. We have no immunity to these kinds of crimes. We have to develop all new strategies. One of the cases I described with a couple of actually Latin American wife, Muslim Arab father, committed an honor killing. I think this was in Illinois. It was out in the Midwest. Luckily, the father was already under FBI surveillance because he had connections to a terrorist group. The honor killing of their daughter for dating a black man, or black boy, I guess he was in high school, it was all captured on audio tape. I give the audio tape in the book, Adios America. The jurors and the prosecutor said, "I'll never get it out of my head." The mother's holding her down as the father is saying, "Die, die." We have all new crimes that we're not used to investigating or prosecuting. That's another cost of immigration that never gets added on.
How about child brides and all that? But listen, Ann, I got to ask you about this report, the House Intelligence Committee report. I mean, can you believe the way the media is alibying for these Banana Republic police state tactics? This is unbelievable that the Washington Post and the New York Times are rolling over and saying this is okay.
It really is pretty shocking. I read someplace they're not even describing what's in the memo. It's particularly shocking what was done. We knew that other agencies of the federal government had been weaponized against Americans, like the IRS, against conservative Americans under Obama. But to have the awesome powers of the police state, this whole, it takes a couple more steps. The whole Russia investigation is an invention of the Hillary campaign. I mean, the Russia investigation, I think one thing that hasn't been mentioned enough, it was instigated by that guy, Peter Strzok, the one with the mistress where they're emailing saying, the Russia investigation is an insurance policy in case this guy ever gets elected. These fanatical anti-Trump zealots in the FBI, that's the guy who started the Russia investigation. I know. And every part of the Russia investigation has now fallen, every excuse for it has now fallen apart.
I know. And the other thing, you mentioned Rosenstein earlier. I mean, it's not just Rosenstein either who signed off on these bogus warrants with using bogus information paid for by Hillary, which was basically Russian disinformation. There's your Russian collusion right there. But how about this guy, Dana Bonte? I don't think that's got nearly enough play in the media, even our media. This guy Bonte, he was an assistant attorney general. He signed off on some of these warrant applications too. Do you know what? He's got a new job now. Ann, did you hear about his new job?
Fusion GPS?
No,
DNC?
FBI. He's going to be Christopher. He moved over to the FBI from the DOJ, and he's now Christopher Wray's top aide. Bonte is his name. This is
very, very bad. Very, very bad. It is disturbing and frightening, and I would add, it's another problem of immigration. Why is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, why is that ever allowed against American citizens, Howie? Well, you might ask yourself that. Because we have American citizens like the Tsarnaev brothers. That's why.
Yeah, well, one of them. But you're right. I mean, that's the other thing, though, is, Ann, they keep saying, well, they wouldn't be going after Carter Page if they didn't have something on. They got nothing on this guy. He's an odd duck, is what he is.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think Trump should allow them to continue to say that for about another week, and then he should release the entire affidavits. Declassify it. This is corrupt from beginning to end. We already know this is an unusual case. This doesn't mean that other FISA warrants are going to be released, but this is like that case. Remember Drew Peterson, the cop who kept killing his wife, but since he was a cop, he could cover it up?
Yeah.
That's what this is. You have the investigators that are corrupt. The investigators going after a presidential candidate based on information paid for by his political opponent.
From Russians.
No, the entire thing has got to be declassified. I hope Trump realizes that, and I hope he does it. But, let them hang out there for another few weeks saying, oh, there was so much information on Carter Page. No, the dossier, it was just a teeny tiny little part.
Can you imagine these people from the New York Times, the Washington Post? They go to see this movie, The Post, and pat themselves on the back about how wonderful they are and how courageous they are, and then they go back to their newspaper offices and write editorials saying we shouldn't release any of this information, busting the deep state for their high crimes and misdemeanors. It's just amazing the way everything has changed.
Curious. Yes, it's curious. I've been looking back at the Nexus transcripts going back a year and all of the hysteria over Carter Page. Boy, the Washington Post was the first one to find out that there was a FISA warrant on Carter Page. That was the smoking gun of Russian collusion. And they didn't hesitate to release that information. But now, when we get a little more information about it, no, can't publish that. You can't tell us what was in it. We just want to tell you that there was a FISA warrant, and you draw your own conclusions from there.
Ann, thanks for being with us. Ann Coulter, always a pleasure. Talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm Howie Carr.